Hello, welcome to the Film Obsessed Couple. I'm Shelly.
And I'm Scott.
Hey, if you're a new listener, we appreciate you choosing us to listen to. Scott and I are a married couple obsessed about movies. Scott is more analytical, while I'm a little bit more open minded. We are unscripted, unfiltered, and hope to leave you with something to think about. Get ready as we dive in.
Yes, to possibly one of the worst movies ever made.
You know, I was really hoping this wasn't going to be as bad as it was.
I know you were like, oh, I've seen that one and I remember it being good. And I'm like, well, you're in for a shock this time.
Yeah, I was like, oh, that little alien is just the cutest.
No, it's not.
I mean, he still kind of is, yeah.
I mean, no. With his ball sack cheeks and his butthole mouth.
You know. I don't know what to say to that.
I know. It's like, I don't really know where to go from here. But so, yes, I realized I have not talked to you about the biggest thing this thing is kind of known for now, which is Paul Rudd. You know, he plays Ant-Man. He's been in a bunch of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Every time he would go on Conan O'Brien, he would be like, all right, I'm here to show a clip from my new movie. And they'd be like, all right. And it would be the scene in this movie where the kid falls down in his wheelchair into the water. So the first time they were like, oh, that's funny. He's been doing it for like 20 years.
Oh, wow.
And he did it twice on Conan's last show on TV.
Oh, no. Was Conan like, oh, Jesus?
He was laughing really hard.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Or maybe he did it once. One time he got him twice. He was like, I'm so sorry. I know it was just a joke. Okay. I know the studios are going to be very mad at me if we don't show this new clip. So, yeah, here's the clip from my new movie. And it's the kid falling down in the wheelchair.
I mean, it's so realistic.
He did a really long thing on Conan's podcast when he joined him on there one time. And he did this long story about a new role that he was preparing for and a video of him like diving deep into it. And he showed the clip again on Conan's podcast. And he was like, you can't do that on my podcast. You show a video clip on my podcast? So it's just this long running joke.
Oh, wow.
Of him showing that Mac and Me scene that I'm sure if you're like, have you heard of Mac and Me? They'd probably be like, oh, is that the one where the kid falls down the mountain in his wheelchair?
You're like, yes. That's the only thing it's known for.
Yeah, so when it showed up in this movie, I was like, oh, here we go. This is the scene. I had seen this movie a long time ago just because it has the reputation of being so bad. It's obviously a huge E.T. ripoff.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Instead of Reese's Pieces, they don't use Skittles. You think they would use Skittles. Because in E.T., he lures him by putting, like, Reese's Pieces down.
Yeah, this was like soda.
Coke.
Coca-Cola.
Like actual Coca-Cola, yeah. Because as we start out, we see these aliens. We're on, like, I thought we were near, like, on Mars or something, because it's like a red rock planet, but looking it up, apparently it's supposed to be on some moon of Jupiter, maybe, because I think or Saturn, you can see a planet in the background.
Yeah.
And they're going around this desert, and your face, you were like, of course, Saturn.
Yeah, I knew that.
But they're going around this planet, walking around, and they, like, are putting straws in the ground, basically.
Yeah.
And sucking the water or whatever. You'd think it's water, but apparently they're like, later when these things are addicted to Coke, and not the good kind of Coke, but Coca-Cola, right. They're like, oh, it must be what they drink on their planet.
Yeah, like they just have this, they tap into Coca-Cola.
Which, if you want to see if you drink nothing but Coke, no water, just Coca-Cola, look at these things. That's what you'll end up like.
That's some sugary shit.
Yeah, you'll have sores all over your body, because it looks like, when they show Mac later, he's got like, it looks like he's just got scabs and sores.
You have a pot belly.
Yeah, they all have pot bellies, like they're eating good, but this planet just looks like a big abandoned desert.
And you kind of walk like you're drunk.
Mm-hmm. That's your mind is starving. Your body is starving to death because it hasn't had any water to steady itself.
Diabetes.
It has the diabetes. Where'd you hear that from that way again?
I thought that was from Philadelphia. Diabetes?
Oh, yes. Max says it like that.
Yeah. Because he says it how it's spelt.
Diabetes. That's right. I was like, what? I know that's from something. I can't think of it. I was doing Wilford Brimley, the old man on the commercial. I was like, I've got diabetes. See, he puts a US at the end of it instead of EES.
Yeah.
I've got diabetes. But, and I put in my notes here, like, these things, I just can't describe it. Here's one thing I have a question for you of, is, like, does this mom have clothes on in the beginning? Because when they're walking in the real desert on Earth, she's got, like, clothes, like a shawl or something.
Yeah, I found that odd because no,
I was like, where did she get that?
they'd be naked.
Did she just see that the other women on Earth are wearing clothes, and she's like, well, I better cover my shame?
Right.
Because, she's only got, like, 2 horns, like, one on each side of her head, and the men have, like, 4?
No, she's got 4 and the men have 2.
The other way around?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
The person who made these costumes was actually like, well, we better distinguish between the men and the women.
Yeah, women's got more.
Makes sense,
horns.
because usually, isn't it in nature where the female version of the species is bigger usually? I know in, like, sharks, female sharks are bigger, and...
I'm just thinking of birds because I think the male birds are more colorful than the female. So
Yeah, because some birds have to do, like, a mating ritual. Like peacocking, as they call it. That's what peacocks do, man. They dance. They,
yeah,
like, oh, yeah, look at me, look at me, look at me. It's like, and the girl Sheila's like, I don't know if he likes me.
he likes to strut around. Very narcissistic.
So these aliens are drinking Coca-Cola, and I thought this was Mars again, because a big, like, probe from the U.S. probes their... a big, like, satellite or whatever it is, like a lander.
I put space thing.
Space thing. I was like, oh, like a lander. It's like what we've got up on Mars or had up on Mars or whatever. But it lands on this planet and is, like, looking around.
It's collecting soil.
I thought you were going to say it's collecting souls.
Well, it collected their soul.
Pretty much. So that's a good question, too, is that this planet seems pretty barren. Like, Are there anybody else here?
That's them. It's just them.
I mean, like, if this thing hadn't come along, were they going to be dead in, like, the next day or so?
It seemed like it.
I guess. There's, like, some terrible, I don't know, asteroid apocalypse or something that happened on this moon or planet or whatever that we have not seen.
They're the last species left.
Mac and Me, the prequel.
Are the only people left.
Yeah, well, this lander shows up and starts looking around. The aliens automatically are like, "Whoa, hello, what is this thing? Hey!" And
Yeah, it was kind of weird.
yeah, it's like it has like a little video screen or like a camera that it's looking around, and it sees them, right?
Yeah, I mean it would have to, but nobody sees them
I know.
because when it gets back later, they don't even know that there's anything in there.
I know. Well, I don't know. I am not a NASA scientist, but I
You're
don't
not?
know. Despite what I've said, but I don't know how long it'll take to get like the feedback. I mean, obviously they probably.
Oh, because this was like in the 60s, maybe. I fucking don't know.
Well, it's probably 80s.
80s.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I don't know if you like the people who are watching the Mars rover, like the feed that it sends back. I don't think that that's live. I don't think it's like taking video and they're seeing exactly what it's seeing.
Maybe not.
So maybe like, and this thing leaves after it, that spoiler sucks them up into it and leaves and automatically comes back to Earth. You think that would take some time too?
Which, I mean, this thing is like on another level, the way that it sucked them up.
Yeah, because that's the thing. The aliens are like looking around. This video thing sees them. Earth does not understand that there's aliens there, apparently, but it vacuums all the aliens up.
And they turn into like, I don't know, a stretchy thing?
I guess we're supposed to believe that their bodies are spongy and can be reformed in different ways.
Yeah, because they totally gave us that impression. I mean,
Yeah, because
this movie doesn't really tell you shit.
I don't know, but if this thing is like a moon of Saturn, I know it takes a long time to probably get to Mars, or would take a time to get to Mars. How long has it taken this thing to get back? These things will probably be dead.
Yeah, they don't have any coke to survive.
I know, it'd probably be like that one time. So when they get back to Earth, the scientists are like taking everything out of this rover. It'd probably be like the time that I was cleaning out my car when we ripped the bumper off. So it like ripped the bumper off, and I was down there, and I was like kind of fixing it back on there the best I could. And there are still to this day zip ties holding it on down there.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah. But I reached my hand into the grill so I could like zip tie it, and I felt something in there, and I was like, well, what's this? And I was like, it's a stick. Oh, it was like sticks in here. And I pulled it out, and I was holding onto the leg of a petrified bird. I was like, oh my God. So that's pretty much what would happen here.
I remember that. It was so funny.
Oh, I was like, what's this tiny stick in here? Oh, it's the leg of a dead bird.
Like, oh, this poor bird got hit and he's just been stuck there.
I don't think I'd had that car very long, so it may not even have been when I had it.
Oh shit, that's right. Yeah, no, because it was pretty new, and then I decided to
Pull in too far.
yep, and then rip your front bumper off.
Yeah, as we were driving a little bit on the highway, you could tell that it was off.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, we did what we could with it. I often wonder if we take it into the shop to get like the brakes changed or something, if they put it up there and they're like, zip ties.
I'm sure they've seen worse.
I know.
My goodness.
It's holding on there, but
you did a great job.
well, I had to poke some holes down there into the plastic or whatever it is that it's made out of to zip tie it.
Yeah, pretty much. It's what it is.
You'd think I would be a little more upset with it being like one of the newer cars I'd had at the time and such a nice, but I'm just like, you forget about it, fuck it.
I think it was because it was me,
Oh, probably.
and you loved me so much.
You were
that
so
just
upset.
Forgave me instantly.
But I know, you were so upset about it. I'm like, it's fine, it's fine.
I was sick.
But anyway, long story just to say that's probably what these aliens are when they're unloading this thing.
They're petrified.
They're petrified and just dead, and they're like, there's a bunch of sticks down here, and they're holding on to the legs of these dead aliens. Oh my God. Because, yeah, this thing comes back to NASA, and they start unloading all these rocks. And this is kind of like a horror movie almost. It could very well be like an alien, because all these guys are in there in like hazmat suits unloading rocks and stuff, and there's something in this compartment here, and yeah, the Mac escapes, and he's running around like the chest burster out of Alien. It's like,
He does.
and this NASA scientists are terrible at their job
Absolutely.
because we've got four. Yeah, there's the mom, dad, daughter, and Mac are all running around here. And they're all like, well, get him! Get him! Oh my God, it's an alien! Stay away from it! And these things like run out of the hallway, and Mac gets outside.
Well, the dad, I think you kind of can tell that they have like this superpower of strength, or that they touch something and it just goes, it just breaks.
Well, they've got like electronic powers too.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, you don't really know exactly what all their powers are. They can do quite a bit, and they can do the ultimate power. We'll see at the end.
Yeah, because he touched the window that everybody was behind, and it shattered.
Yeah, so I don't know. There's infinite powers, I guess. Which, why would they have energy powers? It didn't seem like they had any energy where they were.
Yeah, no, there was like nothing.
So Mac is escaping. He's running through the parking lot of this facility, and as they're cutting to him, like they do quick shots, you can tell it's like a little kid in a suit running. Mm-hmm. It's not a puppet. It's like sometimes with Child's Play, sometimes you can tell it's like Chucky. There's one scene in the first Chucky movie specifically where it shows him going upstairs, and you can tell it's a little person, or like a kid.
Oh, wow.
They're like, ooh, look at this doll. It's moving on its own. And you're like, well, you can tell that that's not a puppet. That's actually a little kid. But it's the same thing here. Where he's like, you're like, that's a little kid running. So you talk about their superpowers. Matt grabs like an electric fence, and this is where he becomes super stretchy again. Mm-hmm. He's getting shocked. He's like, and you see him. He's like, almost like he's silly putty.
Yeah.
It's like gets super stretched out.
He just, it's like a slingshot he turns into.
Yeah, I was laughing pretty hard because he runs out into the middle of the street and immediately gets hit, turning into putty again on this windshield.
Yes.
It's like two giant eyes and then just the rest of his body as putty on this windshield.
And
driving.
his eyes have they're like the wiggly eyes that have the pupil area just kind of bouncing around.
Yeah, you see him all the time. People have them, but yeah, it's like the Google eyes, the googly eyes. Yeah, it's so bad. It's so poorly done.
It was kind of funny. I thought this part was a little funny, but bad. Like, it wasn't funny like, oh, I see how they're trying to make this comedy. It was like, wow, this is so bad, it's funny.
Yeah, well, It is now as we're older. I don't think it was supposed to be funny to people back then, but
No.
you're just like, oh my God, this is so bad.
I think it was supposed to be like, oh my goodness, like a shocking. It was not shocking.
No. Because of this, Mac causes a gigantic, multiple fatalities car accident.
Yeah, he kills a lot of people.
He must kill a lot of people because this guy driving, like Mac gets thrown off or whatever, but like this car ramps up and crashes down on top of another car.
Mm-hmm.
And I said to you at the time, I'm like, well, everybody in this car is dead.
Absolutely.
Like, they must be dead. There's no other way about it. But then later you see the cops and they're like, is everybody okay? And they're like, we're fine. I'm like, how?
Yeah.
Looks like you guys all got your skulls crushed in.
We're fine. I just have some bones sticking out of my leg. It's fine.
Well, this is a kid's movie, so we're all fine. We're all fine.
No blood here.
Just to point it out, the kid in the car that Mac gets on the windshield of has grown up to be in things.
Yeah.
He was in Terminator 2 as his redheaded friend at the very beginning. He was also in that Nickelodeon show Salute Your Shorts for a while. I don't know what he's doing now, but he was, at a time, he was in a lot of stuff. So because you don't want to be anywhere in this situation here now, there is a gigantic pile up and traffic's backed up. It was kind of like what we saw when we went to St. Louis the other weekend.
Oh, yeah, it was awful.
Yeah, we were getting close to my friend's house that we were going to be. We were on the highway, and on the other side, going the other direction, this traffic was backed up 4 miles.
Mm-hmm. That's why this podcast is a little bit late.
Oh, yeah.
Because we went to St. Louis to a concert, and now we're exhausted. Or we were.
Yeah, we were. I was like, oh man, I didn't know I'd be so tired, but I'm not good at sleeping in a different place. We stayed at my friend's house in his guest room, and I was just like, this is weird. This isn't my bed.
Which they were lovely. They were wonderful hosts, I guess what you call them. But
oh yeah, nothing wrong.
they were great. It's just, different place.
Yeah, if you're just like, I don't know. As I've gotten older, I'm like, I kind of like to sleep in my own bed, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Same.
And we saw Ghost, by the way, which was amazing.
Oh my gosh. If you ever get a chance, go see it. They're so worth it.
So as this whole thing, like, the government agents are kind of searching cars around here looking for Mac. And they don't ever call him Mac, by the way.
No, at the very end, I was like, wait, how did Mac get in here? And then you told me.
Well, first off, it's a play on Big Mac.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll find out why that matters later. But it's mysterious alien creatures. So they're just calling them Macs. They're like, oh, we got a Mac around here.
There are a few play on words in here.
Like what?
Because whenever the mom and the kids get together, Kristen Ebersole and her kids, whenever the alien finally gets into their car, I'm jumping ahead, they're like, oh, I hope it's not an ADI.
Yes, what does that stand for?
Alien driving under the influence.
Yeah, that's the older brother of this group, because we're right here. You're right on it, yeah, because Mac does jump into the back of a van of this family. It's the mom, Christine Ebersole. You've got the son, the oldest son, Michael, and you've got the youngest son, the main character, you could say, Eric. That you don't for the longest time find out, but he is in a wheelchair.
Yes. Well, I mean, it comes on pretty quick, I thought.
They drive for a bit, and then like maybe 5 minutes or so later, it does come out. So it was just a shock, because I don't know why I didn't think it, because I've seen that clip, and I saw this a long time ago. But I've seen that clip from Conan so many times that when he gets out of the van, you're like, oh yeah, right, he's in a wheelchair, duh. But yeah, Mac jumps into the back of this van that they've got. Military guys searching the cars. He doesn't do a good job. He's just like, you got anything in here? You said no? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. You would know if you have anything, so...
Because Eric is sitting in the back seat, Michael's up front, and Eric puts down his Coca-Cola.
Oh!
And Mac grabs it without being seen and drinks it, and it makes him tired. He's like, whoa, and he immediately goes to sleep.
Doesn't he outstretch his arm, like his arm stretches?
Yeah, he does it a few times, and it doesn't
Stretch Armstrong or something?
Stretch Mac Strong?
Stretch not Mac Strong?
Stretch McDonald song? Yeah, he stretches his arm out a few times in this movie, and it doesn't look good anytime. It's like one of
No.
those grabbers you've got, but they've just made it to be a hand, and it's just like,
Yeah.
grab. There is a little bit of a scene here where Eric reaches down to get his soda, and it's empty, or it's gone, I think, and he's like, Michael, where's my soda? He's like, I didn't take it. And he's like, well, where is it now? So,
Just brothers being brothers, you know?
yes, so we find out that this family is moving. We see a picture of the family, and we never hear what happens, but the picture that Eric has later of his family has a dad there, and it's them. They're all driving in like a car, but the dad is gone.
Yeah, the dad's not there now, so he either went off and married some like 20-year-old because he's having a midlife crisis, or he died of cancer.
Only those two.
That's it. I can't think of any other thing that could happen.
Well, he's wearing like those old 70s shades, like the red or golden kind of shades they would wear, and he's got a big beard. He looks like director Francis Ford Coppola to me.
Yeah, manly man.
I was like, he's like, do you remember when Dad directed The Godfather, and that's how we can afford this giant house?
Yeah, because it's in California,
Mm-hmm.
and this house is nice, and it is huge.
She says specifically handicapped accessible.
Yeah, wider doors. I mean,
Counters low or something for him, she said.
yeah, I was in a wheelchair for a while after my car accident that I talk about in every episode. Okay.
Multiple times. That's number one. Everybody keeping track at home.
But yeah, being in a wheelchair
Choice.
is not fun. It is just,
No.
Everything, pretty much everything standard is complicating.
Oh, yeah.
Like doors, we had to take my door off the hinge literally so my wheelchair could fit through my bedroom door.
Oh, geez.
It was just, yeah. And then stairs, oh my gosh, forget it.
Sounds like you had my mom's wheelchair, extra wide.
No, it wasn't. At the time, I was actually a lot smaller than I am now.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
I'm just kidding because my mom's wheelchair is like, cannot fit through anything.
It is.
One thing I should point out about this van real quick, as they are driving to this house, we see that this van has blinds, like legit house blinds.
It is fancy. They must be rich.
I don't know about fancy, it just looks kind of tacky to me. I don't know if these things existed. It's got like, it's got the cord and everything that you would pull the blinds up, or...
Yeah, it's like Walmart blinds.
Yeah, I'd never seen that before.
I want to say that we had a van growing up that had blinds.
Really? It seems dangerous.
Yeah, I don't know if that would be legal now because you really can't see out.
I don't know. It seems like it would be dangerous at the time, but it was the 80s, so I mean, who cares?
It's
They
weird.
probably didn't care at the point, but they get to this house. As soon as they get to the house, we see like these movers, and this dude like throws a box down. Mm-hmm. The mom's like, hey, you fucking piece of shit. What the fuck is wrong with you?
I'm like, whoa, showing your true colors.
I guess. And he's like, we keep just the spare bags or whatever in that box. There's nothing in there. And she's like, oh, I'm so sorry. Please don't break any of my shit now that that I'm a huge bitch.
Yeah, the acting was not superb. And I think she's been in other things too, but it wasn't the best.
Yeah, no, the mom, I was looking it up and nothing really recent. She was in a movie called Licorice Pizza with Paul Thomas Anderson. We have not seen that yet. I keep meaning to catch up on it.
We get to know the weirdo, the little girl.
Is she weird because she's dressed as an Indian sitting in a teepee? Is that why?
Yeah.
She's like, in 30 years, this is going to be problematic.
This,
40 years probably at that point.
that makes her pretty damn weird.
Because I found it really, really in bad taste when he was like, hello, my name's Eric. And she went, hey, how are ya? Hey, how are ya? I was like, oh, this doesn't age well.
Ooh, that's bad.
That's very bad. As they pull up, Mac gets out of the van first. He like runs and scurries off, and she sees him.
Yeah.
They all get in the house and stuff, and that's when she's like, yeah, it's handicap accessible. How do I afford this? Well, Dad was a multi-million-dollar... He won 2 multiple Academy Awards in the 70s, so I took him for half.
Since he ran off with that 20-year-old.
Or died of cancer.
Yeah, either way, good life insurance, or he's rich and I got a good payout.
He's just like, Mom, what happened to Dad? Well, he ran off with a 20-year-old or died of cancer. Or was Francis Ford Coppola. Yeah, as Mac jumps out of the van, he starts going into this house, and he's like whistling, doing his little whistles, and like no one apparently can hear this or hear him.
No.
I'm not gonna whistle throughout this, but you just imagine. This is where we see the family photo where the kid Eric is looking at his family, and he's like, I wonder where Dad went. Mom said he was maybe having an affair, possibly sick. I don't know what happened, but he's playing with like a little RC car, and he's like doing tricks with it and stuff. And then for some reason, he decides to take the batteries out.
I think it died.
Because the reason I was like, well, the only reason they would take these batteries out is just to show that it can move on its own.
Right.
Because Mac makes the thing move on its own, and the boy was like, what?
What is happening? California's trippy, man.
It's all I don't know if it wasn't legal, I don't think, at the time. I was going to say all the weed in the air. His mom does bring in his tiny little TV, and he was like, oh, my TV, which is just so funny. It's like my aunt and uncle, Randy and Jeannie, they had a little tiny TV like that on their counter in the kitchen for the longest time.
Yeah, I used to have one as well, because that's how old I am.
It turns itself on, and he's like, oh my gosh, mom, look, it's working. And it doesn't. It turns off as soon as his mom like comes in.
Right.
She's like, well, we got to close these windows with all this weed smoke out here in California.
You're getting high.
His shower and this is what, again, how much is this house? Maybe not much in the 80s, but this kid has his own private bathroom. Because he hears the shower turn on, and he goes in there, and there's a perfect fog outline of Mac on this mirror in the bathroom.
Perfect.
Like, how did he get that?
And perfect footprints.
Yeah, he was in the shower, probably showering off after being in that Mars rover for several years, coming back to Earth. And yes, he follows the footprints to the kitchen, and Mac breaks like a lamp in there and runs outside, and Eric follows him but doesn't see him, and he runs into the Indian girl. We'll say Indian girl. Her name is
Debbie.
Debbie, yeah. Little Debbie. We'll say Little Debbie.
Little Debbie. Now I'm hungry.
Not to call her Little Debbie. I'll just say, or not to call her like Indian Debbie, but, she was wearing Indian clothing.
And she had a feather. That's how you know.
Yeah. She asks him, she was like, oh, well, first off, Mac, he escaped down the hill, and I think she asks if it's his brother, and really, little girl, look at that thing, and you can obviously tell that that's not human.
Oh, we missed a word on play. So before he gets in the shower, the mom comes in and says, here's your toe, tuna on whole wheat.
Oh, right. Tuna on whole wheat.
What kid eats tuna on whole wheat?
I did. I like tuna fish or tuna sandwiches back in the day. My dad would make me some, or egg salad for lunch when I was a kid.
Okay, that's all I'm going to say then. Okay, so after that.
I don't know how much it is out in any other parts of the world, but my parents also used to make chipped beef on toast. And you know what they called that?
Shit on the shingles.
Shit on a shingle, yeah, SOS.
I love that shit.
It's good.
Oh my God, so good.
It got gravy and chipped beef.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a very appetizing name, but it is pretty funny to say. Yeah, Eric's talking to Debbie, and he's like, she said, oh, your friend escaped down the grass, and Eric's mom comes out, and he tries to tell her, like, I saw something, like there was something out here.
We got aliens, Mom.
I think it's a Mac. And she's like, what? And he's like, mysterious alien
creature.
Yes. I was like, what was the acronym again? McDonald's, Coke, Coca-Cola. No. There's not even...
I don't know what you're doing.
I'm trying to make it about McDonald's, but it's not working. I'll cut all this out.
McDonald's and cheese.
Mac and cheese.
Mac and cheese. No.
McDonald's and Coke works, yeah.
Big Mac and cheese.
Wait. McDonald's and Coke. That's who sponsored this movie, apparently.
Oh, that's a good one.
I was like, mac and cheese? Hey, that's what they sell. No, they don't sell those at McDonald's. My mind is not working very well today. Mac and cheese! Like, wait, that's a sandwich.
That's not a sandwich. Mac and cheese is a side dish.
Oh, god damn. I haven't been sleeping very well. I've been working out more now that we've got some weights at the house, and I'm like tired.
And you were trying to figure stuff out. That's frustrating. So that probably just drained you.
Probably, yeah. Well, if this episode isn't good for you guys, well, fuck off.
And we even did errands today.
Yeah, a little bit. We recycled some cardboard.
We're going nuts, people.
Tell us about your day, since we're just talking about what's going on in our lives.
Yeah, right in.
Well, we cut to night. Mac wakes up on a hill, and he runs up to the house, and we see, like, the mom and the older brother, Michael, are in the house. Michael is just using this big bandsaw cutting pieces of wood in the house.
Like he is a pro.
Well, first off, I'm like, how old is this kid? But second, you would get, like, wood every fucking where.
Absolutely. Right on the carpet.
Yeah, he's using, like, one of those hand saws that I used the one time to cut wood that we've got out there.
Yeah, that you burned your finger on.
I think we've said that before.
Yep.
I burned the shit out of my finger. I don't remember what episode it was on, but...
You should just download all of them.
Yeah, the screw that was holding the blade on came loose after I used it for a minute. And I was like, oh, I'll just screw it back on. Not realizing it was metal and burned the shit out of my thumb.
Yeah, sorry.
So we followed the mom into Eric's room, and I pointed this out to you here, but they've been here a day, unless Mac was passed out for a month. But Eric's room is completely set up.
Yeah.
He's got his bed frame, he's got posters on the wall, he's got chest of drawers.
It's like they've been there a month.
It's been like they've moved in forever.
Jeez.
We worked on Eric's room and got that set up, but it showed him in the kitchen, like, putting up, like, a frame of something, like a poster. Like, oh, no, I think it would look better here. Like, after we've spent all day putting Eric's stuff up first.
Great.
And we cut back to Mac, and he does his little whistling thing, and what did you call this thing that he does? His,
Vagina whistle.
Yes, he holds, like, a V up with his hand.
He puts his wrists together.
And he makes, like, a V, like a vagina. And he does, like, a little whistle. He does, like, wee woo.
It's like praying to
The vagina.
the V.
That's what men do, pray to the vagina.
Yeah.
And we see his family in the desert hilariously struggling. They're just like, oh, God, we're going to die out here. And the mom has clothes on for some reason.
Yeah, it kind of cuts to them every once in a while. And I don't know how, but they can communicate.
Yeah.
Like, maybe it's telepathically.
Probably, yeah.
Because, like, I think they came from Iowa or something.
We don't really see, how they fucking find him or how Mac and his family get so close to California.
Mm-mm.
If you think about it too much, this movie falls apart really hard.
It really does. Yeah. Mm-mm.
So the next morning, Eric's little radio-controlled car comes into his room and he follows it into the kitchen. As he is in the hallway, Mac uses a giant-ass drill to drill 2 holes in the wall and look through them.
If I was that kid, I'd be scared to death. This thing was ginormous, and what is it used for?
I don't know. It's like something that a serial killer in a horror movie would use.
Yeah.
It's like to drill gigantic holes.
Like huge. Like, I guess, as big as your eyeball. I guess maybe they're used for peepholes?
Well, he was using it as a peephole. I don't know, yeah. He goes into the living room, and Mac has turned it into a gigantic swamp.
Yeah.
There's, like, trees and grass and shit everywhere.
Flowers, yeah.
You can hear crickets and frogs probably, I think, in there, too.
So funny.
He also cuts a hole through the front door. He cuts, like, a triangle-sized hole in the front door and looks through it, and Eric sees him. And this is probably one of the funniest moments of the movie. The mom comes into the living room, and she goes, Eric, what did you do? And he's like, I didn't do this, obviously. How could I have done this?
Wow.
I don't know if you've noticed this, Mom, but because it took a while for the movie to tell you, but I'm in a wheelchair.
There's no fucking way I can do any of this.
Yeah, maybe the holes in the wall, possibly, because they are my level, but I couldn't have gone out, gotten all this trees and frogs and crickets and brought it back. So because Eric is upset that his mom yelled at him, he goes out into the backyard and he's kind of looking for Mac, and he sees Debbie. I think she kind of tells him he went that way.
Mm-hmm.
I pointed everybody. You didn't see it.
Yeah.
I was like, he went over there.
He went that way. Who cares?
But this is the famous scene. Yeah, he starts rolling down this hill. His brakes on his wheelchair break off.
Which is wild.
And he goes over this 50-foot drop. It's such a long drop.
I mean, he must be strong as fuck.
Well, I mean, people probably in wheelchairs are. Like, my friend Tyler's pretty buff.
True. You do have to have some muscles.
You just have to develop them over time, man. I mean, that's what you're using.
Yeah.
But yeah, you would think I don't know. But yeah, he falls like 50 feet. This is such a it's such a funny drop.
It's so fun. So fun to watch.
It's such a funny drop. And he's down in the water and Mac is there and he sees him and Mac decides to get him out of the water and like magically lifts him up and takes him to shore. And the mom and Michael and I think Debbie's there too, but they see him and they're all like freaking out. And I put in my notes like the mom must think that he tried to kill himself.
I mean, his dad did.
Wait, I thought it was cancer or running away.
Oh, shit.
Now it's suicide.
You know, it could have been.
So we cut to this doctor who's at the house and he's like, oh, he'll be okay. He's like, I tell you what, Eric, I'm going to give you this sedative. He gives it to the kid. He's like, here's a sedative that helps you sleep. You take it. And I'm like, why wouldn't you just give it to the mom to give it to him?
Holy cow. And giving, like, a kid a sedative? That's insane.
I don't know.
To me. I mean, I just think that's a little much.
I don't know. He spits it out after the doctor leaves, and Debbie comes in, and she calls him a schizo as she walks in. I was like, what? Do you even know what that means, little girl? Of course, now, Debbie's sister, Courtney, comes in to get him, and she is dressed in a McDonald's uniform.
Absolutely.
And she is dressed this way for the rest of the movie.
Poor girl.
She does not get out of this uniform at all because Mac. McDonald's and clothes.
Must add clothes.
Yeah. That was in there. You're like, well, if you're going to do this movie, there's a few things that you must do in this movie. Must add clothes. I mean, you, girl, wear McDonald's clothing this entire time.
You girl right there.
One girl has to wear McDonald's clothes. Courtney is like, oh, hey, Debbie, you should invite Eric to your birthday. Or we never get to hear whose birthday it is, but she's like, there is a birthday party you should invite him to tomorrow or the next day.
Yeah, because everybody's best friends. They've known each other forever.
Yes. It seems like the whole town's going to be at this McDonald's birthday party.
Yeah. Like, and maybe the town over.
She's like, well, you probably better invite him because, I mean, everybody's going to be here. He'd be the only one that's not. He's going to wake up the next morning and there's nobody in the streets.
He will be the only one in a wheelchair, though. And everybody's going to be not in a wheelchair. We'll get into that in a minute.
You think if it was more, like if it was made today, you'd have more inclusive people in there. But now he's like, oh, he's the only one in a wheelchair. As Debbie and Courtney leave, Michael and Courtney make eyes at each other and they're like, oh, hey. And she's like, hey.
They are totally like, I would say eye fucking, but that they're awfully young. They shouldn't be even thinking about that.
Eye probing.
They're eye lusting.
If you talk about It's Always Sunny, he's giving her an ocular pat down.
Nice. But yeah. And Debbie's like, come by and get a Big Mac.
And he's like, is that slang for something? She's like, no.
You big boy.
It's like, is that slang for something? She's like, no, it's not.
No.
Please get a Big Mac because I'm contractually obligated to say Big Mac.
And wear these stupid clothes.
Yeah. They're letting me keep these clothes because they say after this movie, that's all you'll be able to work at is a McDonald's.
Oh, damn.
So now the kids are dropping the mom off. Michael is driving her to Sears, which is where she works, and she gets out of the car and she has a line saying, "This is my first job in 10 years." So I guess she was a housemaker or a housewife.
Yes. So, and this is where I put, oh, maybe the dad died and they got life insurance.
Maybe. Probably so.
So cancer, suicide, one of those.
I don't know. And we get another McDonald's thing here because as they drop the mom off, Michael is like, hey, do you know where I want to go now? And Eric goes to get a Big Mac. And he's like, hey, you're a genius. And they drive off.
Oh, my gosh.
Now, for younger people, I don't know if anybody listens who is a younger person, but like, McDonald's was a big place. It was a big thing.
Absolutely.
I had or attended a few birthday parties at McDonald's.
Yeah, I mean, and if you were invited, you were hot shit.
Yeah, I remember going through a family photo album, and I have one where I'm a little kid, but we're all sitting around a table at McDonald's.
I don't think I was ever invited, though.
Really? Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, I was kind of a dirty kid, so I don't think they wanted me around.
Well, I mean, my dad smoked, so I must have smelled.
Well, I mean dirty as in... We'll just say that.
STDs.
No. No.
So later that night, Eric is rolling through the house setting traps for Mac. And we see he rolls by Michael's room and he's on the phone talking with Courtney. Go figure.
Mm-hmm.
Which I was thinking, how bad of an idea would that be to be boyfriend and girlfriend with your next door neighbor as a kid? Because, I mean, you're obviously going to break up and that would just be weird.
Yeah. Then they'd have to move. Be a whole thing.
I know. Like, late at night, she sees him outside her window and he's like, Courtney! Oh, God. She's like,
She's got another guy on her shoulder.
She's like, Michael, for
arm.
God's sakes.
Got a guy on her shoulder.
Guy on her shoulder. I have this guy on my shoulder right now.
That's what you do as a teenager.
So, well, speaking outside of the window here, Eric goes into his bedroom and Debbie is outside and he lets her in because they're both going to catch Mac tonight.
Mm-hmm.
He sets a Coke out for Mac and he leaves a trail of straws to his room. Is it a trail of straws or Cokes? I can't remember.
Well, he does straws and then he puts some Coke in a paper cup. And
Got
puts
it,
the
okay.
straw in the cup.
Okay.
Why he needed multiple straws, I don't know.
I don't
But
know.
It worked, so...
But they plan to suck him up in a vacuum, which is, surprise, surprise, how they knew how to do that. I don't know, because that's exactly what happened on NASA. But he falls for it. Mac is going, and he's like... He's wide-eyed this whole time. He's just like... butthole mouth going. Like... You know, it's like when you blow over the top of a bottle. It's like... Coming out of his butthole mouth, obviously. They're like, wait, do you hear that? He's excited. He's drinking that Coke.
Oh, God, no. Okay.
But he comes into the room and they vacuum him up. And they're like, we got him. But somehow Mac is able to control it and he like flings Debbie all over and into the living room.
But it kind of makes sense because he can control electronics, so...
Yeah, I guess so.
Should be able to control this, but not well done.
No, he brings Debbie like all the way up one wall over the ceiling and back down. And it's so funny because you can tell it's a dummy.
Oh, yeah, and you can see the track.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I was laughing at their doll, the body.
Yeah, the track that goes up on the ceiling that she's on, or, well, I guess she's not really on it. The dummy's on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can see it all.
Oh, that's so funny.
It's fucking crazy. And I'm like, wow, they probably spent a lot of money on that, and they couldn't even get it out of the shot.
Well, I'm sure there were no second takes, probably. They were like, we've only got money enough for one. Damn it, the track's in the view.
Yeah, I mean, that's the camera guy right there because, I mean, it's a dummy. It's
Yeah.
not like it's got to act a certain way.
Well, there's like dust all over from this thing, and it opens up, and Mac like comes out of it. And they give him Coke to rejuvenate him. And if you look close enough at this puppet, he's got like peach fuzz on his face.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, they took time to put hair on it. That's so gross.
I wonder what that was.
Now, the mom comes home, and you pointed this out, this kind of plot hole here.
Yeah.
Oh, boy, you want to talk about why it's a plot hole?
Well, it's a plot hole because she drove up in the van.
Yeah, they're like, oh, mom's home, and she's like, here. And I'm like, wait a minute, you dropped her off at work earlier.
Just dropped her off.
We don't see anybody out in the driveway that like left her there.
Nope.
It's like, how did you get home?
Nope. And you were like, well, maybe it's another day. And I'm like, I don't think it's supposed to be.
I don't know.
I think they just, the crew is not real bright.
They just didn't think, probably. They were like, oh, well, in this scene, yeah, we didn't think about that. But Mac has disappeared. Michael tries to tell the mom the whole truth, and
Nothing but the
nothing
truth.
but the truth, so help him, Mac. I don't know. But she just doesn't believe it, and the next day, they wake up, and Mac has completely fixed their house up. Their house is, like, spotlessly clean now.
Yeah, crazy.
And another thing of this, showing that this mom is an idiot, she goes, well, you boys did this? That's amazing. Like, again, Mom, I'm in a wheelchair.
And don't they even say, like, Mom, it wasn't us? Yeah, they just were like, Mom, would we really be fixing this up? And she's like, oh, good point.
You're right. You're pieces of shit.
Yeah, you guys are assholes like your father that ran off.
And or died. There's a very funny shot too of the newspaper that hits the porch in the morning, and Mac's giant hand grabs it and pulls it in. The newspaper guy's like, "The fuck?"
That's a weird doll.
We cut back to the desert in a very funny moment because the mom's like, "Well, that's right. You guys wouldn't do that." Cut to the desert of this little alien girl dying.
No.
Like the parents are like holding her, and they're like, "Oh God, why?" It's just such a weird cut.
And I don't know where they are, how they got out in this desert. I don't know.
I have no idea.
It looks like they're in the middle of Arizona or something.
I guess it could be the California desert, though.
Yeah.
But like you said at the beginning, I guess we don't know where they're at in the beginning, but they somehow get from where they're at to California, like near it.
Mm-hmm. I want to say that at one point, they moved from Iowa. It was in my notes, so yeah.
All right, well.
But Iowa's pretty far away.
They may not have been in Iowa by the time that we first see them. They may be like on their way.
True, they were traveling through. You're right. You're right. I wonder, is there a NASA thing around? Now I'm like really wanting to figure it out.
Probably not. I don't know. But
anyway,
we cut back to the mom and Eric. They go for a run and a wheel. And because the mom is like in the 80s, she's wearing like a workout suit. And Eric is just rolling next to her while she runs.
Yeah, I guess that's how he works out.
I
suppose. That's why he's so strong.
I guess. I just thought it was strange. But I thought she was probably like making fun of him. Like, look what I can do, hon. Look what I can do.
I can run. How does it feel to be in your chair?
And we see it earlier in the movie where these kids are like driving around in little cars like you used to have, you know? They're like little miniature cars that a little kid could sit in and drive.
Dream.
But Mac is driving one around the block.
There's not really a good point.
No, it's just all the dogs in the neighborhood are chasing him.
Yes.
And I felt so bad for these dogs. It's like, how long did they make them run to chase after this puppet?
I don't know.
Mac goes over like a little hill and gets stuck in a tree. And that's just like the doot 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 doot.
Doot doot.
Like, if we do go back to the mom and Eric running, and there's just a very sappy, it sounds like REO Speedwagon song playing.
Thank you. I put that in my notes.
Heard it from a friend who... Heard it from a friend who... It just sounds like that same band. Very out of place. I was like, what, we're having songs in here now?
Yeah, it was like, living my dreams was far from my sight. You came along, and I saw my light. We will be friends forever. I can't... Yeah. I typed all this out.
It's a very weird song.
Yeah, it's very bizarre.
At this point, we see like the military has finally made it to their house, and they're like, "Oh, hey, we're checking on blackouts here, or is anything going on?" And they're like, "No, nothing's here. No, we're okay." Because when Mac caused a huge blackout with the vacuum.
That's right.
But it turns out that the security that's asking about the blackouts are really the government, and they're trying to find them. They're like, we think we tracked it here to this house.
It's always the government. Damn them.
Yeah.
Conniving sons of bitches.
Michael has to take the mom to work again, even though she can somehow magically get there and appear. Well, she can't get there. She can appear home.
Right, yeah. It's like somehow the van can drive itself.
Or she's like, I have teleportation powers, but only to get home. I can't get there. I can only get home.
Okay, well, that makes sense.
But this is the big day that Eric is going to the party. Because as Michael takes the mom to work, Debbie comes in to pick him up with her mom. And Eric and her go into the living room, and Mac is like sitting there on the couch, or on the recliner. And he's looking at a advertisement of like some realty or whatever, like a dude on it, and he's got like a bunch of straws with flowers stuck in the top of them, and he's like crying. The poor little baby alien is unhappy. Yeah, and he keeps looking at Eric's photo of the family that they've got like hung up, and Eric just immediately goes like, he must have a family too somewhere.
What?
Like, how did you know that? Debbie's like, well, we've got to get the fuck out of here. I'm not missing this McDonald's party. It's been talked about for months that it's coming.
Mm-hmm.
And so she goes outside to stall the mom. He's like, stall her. I'll figure out what to do with Mac. And she tells the mom's like, wait, where's Eric at? And she's like, oh, he's putting a steering wheel on his wheelchair. Wheelchairs don't have steering wheels, Debbie. So Eric decides to do the worst thing he could possibly think of, and he puts Mac in a bear costume, like a suit, and he cut the eyes out, like way too big, so you can see this thing's eyes and the skin around its face.
Yep.
And
It looks awful.
I know, and the mom's like, isn't he a little too old to have stuffed animals?
Stuffed animals?
She's like, well, he is from Illinois. Oh, Illinois.
Oh, Illinois.
That's what I put in my notes here.
Well, I get them confused, you know.
I have it in my notes right here where I said we watched this on Tubi, which you have to watch it with commercials, and every time it went to commercials, which felt like a ton, we kept seeing something for Noggin, and you kept laughing at it.
No, yeah, that's right.
I have it in my notes. I'm like, Shelly's laughing at Noggin commercial.
Like, what is that? Noggin?
Well, you download Noggin. So they drive to go to McDonald's, and the military follows behind them. And this is one of the wildest scenes I've ever seen. Because there are kids breakdancing in the parking lot of this McDonald's as they pull in.
That's wild. And I kind of want to be like, are they just throwing this in Eric's face?
That they can breakdance.
He's the only one in a wheelchair, and everybody else is just dancing around and having a good time. And
I don't know.
What is he? Well, he can't do anything.
I didn't get that. I don't know. Maybe they didn't get that too when they made this movie.
I mean, for real, people in wheelchairs can dance as well. It's just a little different. They're differently abled, and it's totally fine. I'm totally for it. But we're here to have some fun.
So you're thinking that maybe kids in wheelchairs watched this movie in the 80s and was like, boy, that looks like fun. I can't do that.
Yep.
I don't know. That's
so like
pretty
my
dumb.
life, I can never dance again.
Apparently Jennifer Aniston, a young Jennifer Aniston, is in this parking lot according to the trivia.
Really?
Yeah, I looked up the picture that someone's captured the screen of it, and you can see her face like in the corner. She's young.
Okay.
Not that young, and obviously not that young because Friends was like in the 90s early, and this was 88, I think.
Yeah, I think there were a lot of teenagers there too.
Yeah, there's
Look,
a big...
It's a little kid's birthday, right?
I guess. There's football players here, and I don't understand why.
Me neither.
There's football guys, and they're like, hoo, ha, and like dancing and shit, and you're just like, what the fuck is going on?
There's ballerinas.
It's
that
a
are
happening
there.
party.
I mean, this was a little weird. Like, I know McDonald's threw great birthday parties, but this was like, this was over the top.
Legendary birthday parties.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, the mom drops the kids off, and Debbie, Eric, and his stuffed bear, which has Mac inside of it, go in. There's a kid drinking Coke, and Mac just automatically reaches out and grabs it. His hand extends.
Mm-hmm.
You think the kids would run out, but they're all like, whoa.
Yeah, they're a little shocked.
Because Eric is like, the mom at first in the car when they're riding is like, oh, what's up with that bear? And he's like, oh, it's one of the new things. It's
Electronic.
yeah, it's got computer chips in it or something. And she's like, whoa, sounds good to me. And Mac gets up on the counter of this McDonald's and starts dancing. And all the people that are working at this McDonald's are all standing there laughing, clapping their hands at him. They're like, dun, 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 dun. And I was like, what the fuck is going on?
It's all choreographed.
Mm-hmm.
Like, all of it. And I'm just thinking, my goodness, if whoever, a kid or electronic teddy bear is up dancing on the counter, if I worked there, I'd be like, yeah, that's not cool.
Right. I'd be like, well, first off, this whole McDonald's is filled with small children. It's like filled to the brim.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd be pissed off as it is. I'd be like, that's it, you're not sitting on the counters.
And,
You're not dancing up here.
and it's just a lawsuit waiting to happen.
Yeah, I know.
I mean,
The kid's in a bear suit. His feet are probably slick being in this little costume.
he's going to fall down, hit his head, and die.
They're like, there's something probably wrong with this kid already. You see his eyes? He's got weird eyes.
So weird.
The military guys come in, and Eric realizes that they're here for Max, so they escape.
Mm-hmm.
Because all these kids are still dancing. The military guys can't get them.
Take Courtney with him.
Yeah, they eventually get out, and Mac and Eric roll down this hill through like a clothesline. And for the rest of this little scene, Mac has like underwear on his head as they're rolling down like this little hill.
Yeah, yeah.
Eric rolls through traffic at one point too, and he holds onto the back of a truck. And this is another funny moment where you can see a dummy in this wheelchair.
Yeah, it was so bad.
Yeah, as he's rolling through traffic, like weaving in and out, and the military's like chasing him.
Like the hair color was different. It was so bad.
You can just tell when it's a dummy. It's so funny. He lets go of a car next to the Sears and goes inside of it. Mac makes all these like toy trucks go crazy, and the government like slips and falls on him. Of course,
No, yeah.
grown men would slip and fall.
Give him the old slip.
This, it's the Sears because we run by the mom. She's like talking to her boss, and I'm like, is this another husband that's gonna end up dead? Possibly in the future?
Oh, is she a husband killer?
Black Widow.
Oh.
She sees Michael running and all these guys running after him. She sees Eric and all of the government men running after him. And it just sounds so easy to say Michael and Mac.
Yeah, it does.
Eric and Mac escape, and Mac makes like the sliding glass doors, the electronic doors, like stick.
Yeah,
And-
holds them together.
Yeah, one of these government guys grabs something and just shatters it and starts running through it. It's so funny. He's like, no, breaks it. So this kind of is weird. Eric and Mac are rolling down this street, and the government guys are like right behind them. And Courtney, Michael, and Debbie in their little van, little Debbie in the van, pull up next to Eric, and Michael picks up his wheelchair as they're driving, like 30 miles an hour. Well, maybe not that, but
Still, it'd be a little difficult.
picks him up in the wheelchair and brings him in, closes the door, and they drive off away from the government.
Yeah. Yeah, that happened.
And at this point, the mom maybe realizes that they're telling the truth about this alien.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a scene here where they're all like at a place. They pull over to the side of the road at some point, and they're like trying to think, and they're like, "Oh, Mac is always pointing somewhere," and they decide they're like, "Well, Mac must be pointing to us where his family is. If we follow that, like a compass almost, we'll get to where his family is." They're all like, "Yes, let's go help him find his family."
Woo!
As they're driving, they see a billboard of the same advertisement Mac had, and he realizes that Mac was showing him that because that's close to where his family is.
Puzzle pieces are coming together.
Yeah, there's a ton of windmills in this little area, and they're like, "Oh, that's what he was doing. He was making windmills with the straws and the little flowers."
Oh my goodness.
It looks like I know the end of 7 took place under like power lines, but like the way they're filming this at the windmills looks like the end of 7. Looks like Gwyneth Paltrow's head is gonna get delivered to him at some point.
The weirdest thing I thought about this little trip that they're taking is that Courtney was eating ice cream
Yeah.
and Michael was driving and she was feeding it to him.
Oh, really?
Like she would take a couple bites and then feed him a bite. I'm just like, wow.
They're all gonna be super sick at the end of this.
I don't understand. Like I guess I've never like driven in a car. I don't know. I would not want to share ice cream with anybody, to be honest. Because
That's just you, though.
I love ice cream so much. So I think that's why I'm like, that's so weird. She's sharing her ice cream. Who does that?
I wouldn't want. It's like sharing it with a random dog. I wouldn't want to share something with like a random creature that you know nothing about.
Right.
I feel like I would get pretty damn. You would get sick, probably.
Yeah.
Mac leads him to like this abandoned mine factory. It's like a little mine area, and it's got like a train tracks to go into it. And Michael is like, "Well, I'm gonna go in with him, and I'm gonna find the family." So he takes Mac, and he's holding him on his back, and it's a terrible, terrible
It's
puppet.
awful. It's so bad.
We're slowly going crazy talking about this. I'm just like, what the fuck happens next? Let's get the fuck out of here. Well, they find the family, and they're like dead. They're
Pretty much, yeah.
they're all passed out dead in this this cave.
Which, how in the hell did they get here?
I have no idea.
They were in the middle of nowhere.
I don't know. Maybe they can just walk forever.
That's so weird. I don't get it.
You pointed out here that Michael touches one of the aliens' eyeballs.
Yeah.
He's like, "Are you okay?" He's like,
I'm going to check and see if an alien's okay. I'm not going to poke it in the eye.
I know.
I don't want to be probed.
So everybody now comes down into the... probing him in the eyeball.
You got probed.
So they all come down into this little cave area here, and I pointed it out to you. There's thankfully a wheelchair ramp for Eric to come down.
Yeah, thank goodness.
It's exactly like a wheelchair ramp for him to come down into this cave.
In this old coal miner's mine.
Coal miner's mine,
The
yep.
mine. The coal miner's mine. Yeah, thank goodness.
So how do you think they revive him? They give him Coke.
Yep,
Coca-Cola.
the good Coke. Right up the nose.
Yeah. So they're all fine, and they're back to life again, and you pointed it out that if you looked at one of the aliens, you could tell that his makeup was coming off.
Yeah, like the head part that kind of goes down over the chest was coming up a little bit.
Yeah.
And then they covered it up with like some clothing or something.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's not good. They all leave. I mean, they leave this fucking cave, and they're flying in this van down the road, and they're all... The aliens don't understand what's going on, so they're kind of being a pain, and they're like, Debbie, pretend to be the mother and make them do something. So she's like, put your hands on your head. And they all do that, and wiggle your ears, and they do that. And
Yeah, these aliens are assholes, or pain in the ass, I should say.
oh, yeah.
Like a fucking 2-year-old.
Yeah, it's just, you think they would be more understanding. We're like, well, these people saved us. We should trust them. But they're like, yeah, terrible little kids. Like, what's that? What does this do? What if I put my finger in here?
And the dad is the worst.
Yeah.
Like, whoa, calm down, buddy.
As they pull into this gas station in the next scene, they're all singing Old MacDonald. I'm like, who's that for? These aliens can't talk. So Michael and Courtney all go into this gas station, and these two women pull up next to the van, and one gets out, but the father sees that this woman is drinking a Sprite.
Mm-hmm.
And he breaks the window of this van, stretches out, and grabs the Sprite, and this lady freaks the fuck out.
Yeah. I guess they don't know manners. Like, you can't just take someone else's Sprite.
I know. They're like, no boundaries.
That is not cool. So, if you are out there and you're like, if somebody's drinking a Sprite and you just grab it from them,
Don't do it.
it's rude. Just don't do it. Lesson.
For you aliens out there.
Just in case you're listening. You might be the only ones.
Yeah. This is probably my favorite scene of the whole movie because the family comes into this supermarket. It's like a gas station supermarket, I guess. And they're fucking stuff up. They find a big, like, Coke display, and they're, like, grabbing Coke cans, and one of them has, like, a watermelon. I'm assuming the manager of this store is like, please, you have to leave, and he's got a price checker gun in a holster on his hip.
Hell yeah, he does.
He must have paid for that.
He is fancy.
All these security guards come in here, and they start just pointing their guns at these people, and they're like, oh, freeze, put the stuff down, and the dad alien just grabs the gun out of this dude's hand.
Yeah, out of the security guard.
He's like, yoink, and he's like holding it, and all those security guards are like, oh my god, get out of here.
And you can tell he doesn't know what it is. He's like, well, this isn't a drink. I can't do anything with it.
So now it's become a huge standoff outside. We've got like tons of police out and SWAT, it feels like, and they're all like ready to do like a negotiation. Like, we got people in there, and they're got guns. They're gonna kill people in the store. But all the aliens walk out because they don't understand what the hell's going on, and they're like, all right, nobody hurt him. Nobody. Like, Michael and the kids are trying to tell the police like they won't hurt anybody. They just don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
The aliens walk back over to like kind of where the van is, and
Well, and when they come out, they have like a box of groceries.
it's just random stuff.
It's not even a bag. It's like a small cardboard box.
Yeah.
How?
It's got like vitamins, and
That doesn't even make sense.
I don't even know where they would have had time to get that. Maybe they've just been in there for a minute.
The dad's walking like he's drunk and holding this fucking gun and
Yeah, they're wasted and they've got a gun. How did they do it again? Dur, 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 dur.
It was awful.
Yeah.
It was just awful.
So Eric is like, please don't hurt them. I can help them. And he starts rolling his way over there, and the cops just open fire.
Well, the gun accidentally goes off that the dad
Oh,
has.
okay. Yeah, and then the cops open fire and they shoot like a million times at this family. And what blows up? Because something blows up and causes a huge explosion.
The van that's in the
I thought so.
getting
Okay.
gas. Which,
Yeah.
yeah, that's a huge explosion.
It's such a funny explosion because you see Eric in his wheelchair in front of it. And it's like the old things where it was like you can tell that they just filmed an explosion and then put him in later. But the funny thing is he is laying dead in his wheelchair when this explosion is going off. He is dead as a doornail.
So dead.
And one of these cops is getting fired.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And all you see is like this black blob.
Yeah.
Which is his wheelchair. I think they kind of had to make it look different because it looks so bad. They're like, oh, let's just make it a blurry blob so nobody can tell how awful it is.
Right. Oh, it looks so bad. And
Yeah.
and the aliens are fine. It just shows like this flame around them and they're like, nothing's happening. Who would have known that they would have been okay from fire?
Yeah. No, I would have had no idea.
And this helicopter lands and out jump the military men and the mom. They've somehow brought her along too for
Crazy.
some reason or
Yeah,
another.
Sure.
She doesn't seem to act very sad that Eric is dead.
No.
Courtney, the McDonald's girl, is like acting her ass off here. She's like, "Oh my God, Eric, why?" I'm like, "He wasn't your brother."
She did a good job. I mean, she was like bawling.
She's like, "Please, please let me." It's like, just act like you're gonna have to work at a McDonald's for the rest of your life. Oh, Eric, no, why? And the mom's like, "Oh, Eric, my baby. Oh no, oh jeez,
Oh, goodness.
oh crap."
This is bad.
The cops are really gonna be on to me now. First, my husband mysteriously disappears, and now my son's dead.
And I have not taken any life insurance out on you yet. Dang it.
I didn't file the insurance paperwork. So these aliens, like the Terminator, just walk through this fire, and they walk up to the body, and they all start doing their vagina whistle symbols.
Hail, vagina. Hail,
Well, that's-
the vagina.
That's what it looks like. Oh, vagina. Sweet vagina.
You can cure everything.
Our Lord and Savior vagina. That's it. It's the aliens. Like, they worship some god called the vagina.
Vagina. Sounds fancy.
Oh.
I'll worship some vagina.
It's just a giant eye, and it looks like the... It looks like this.
Looks like the vagina.
Yeah. It's like, here's a drawing of it. Ooh, hail vagina. But these the blue light starts coming out of their hands, and Eric levitates for a bit and then comes back to life. And
Yeah, they do like stiff as a board. What is that?
light as a feather, stiff as a board.
Yeah, they do that.
See our previous episode on the craft.
Mm-hmm. So then that's why Eric floats, because they're summoning him.
They're doing evil magic.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I meant to say it earlier, but I thought, how funny would it be if Mac was getting them to the desert just so the family could eat them?
That's right. Oh man, see,
Like-
that would be kind of funny.
Because Debbie is like, well, we can't trust him. I'm like, how sweet would that be if he's like, I brought you the family so you can eat them all.
Yeah, this cute little alien, which he is still kind of cute. The big eyes, I don't know, it gets me.
Yeah.
Even though he's got a butthole mouth, it's okay. He's like, I'm gonna lure them back to my family so we can have some food.
Yeah. I'm just going to have you slaughtered. That'd be an interesting movie to make, like an interesting horror movie to make.
Yeah.
So he's fine. Everybody's happy. And we just do this weird cut to these two military men running into a courthouse. And you're like, what the fuck is going on? Is this like a big trial
Yeah.
or something? But, god damn it, it is a new citizenship test. And we see all these people swearing into the U.S. citizens. And at the very end of the row is the alien family dressed in clothing now.
Yeah.
The little girl alien's got like barrettes in her hair, and the dad's wearing a suit, and mom's like a dress, and Mac is wearing a Mick Kids t-shirt.
Yeah. The dad is still wobbly as fuck because he's drunk.
And I'm like, isn't a U.S. citizenship, maybe not in the 80s, but isn't a citizenship test like pretty difficult?
Yes. And how? Don't they have to speak?
They don't speak English.
All they can do is whistle out their butthole.
Who is the fourth president? Ooh.
That's correct.
When was the Constitution wrote? Yeah, and it's just so stupid. They're all sworn into citizens. It makes no goddamn sense unless this was 50 years later after they've learned to master the human language and study for this test.
And get like plastic surgery to open up their mouth so they can actually talk.
Like, oh, I can talk now. Thank God. The only thing I could do was whoo.
This butthole mouth was the worst.
I would have to crunch food up and put it into my mouth as a cylinder. So they're all driving in a car, and I'm like, where did they get this car? When did they learn to drive? When did any of this shit happen?
And it's a pink Cadillac.
Yeah, legit pink Cadillac. And Mac is in the back seat with Michael and Eric and the girl, and he's blowing a bubble.
Mm-hmm.
And they go under an underpass, and he blows a gigantic, like, fake bubble that says, "We'll be back." And it pops. And I said, no, you won't.
No, you won't. Because you suck.
Yeah, and that's Mac and me.
Yeah, I think the movie committed suicide.
Or disappeared.
Which the talk of suicide, I take it very seriously, and it's just a joke.
Oh,
Which,
right.
again, really nothing to joke about, but again, I don't want to offend anybody, but that's just my humor.
For sure. No, for sure. And that's Mac and me.
Mm-hmm. That was it. Which I do want to say thank you to everyone who has been listening. Our downloads have been a little higher, which we don't know if this is going to keep happening. That would be amazing. So if you do like us and you're just like, man, how do I support these wonderful, great podcasters? Then you can just tell a friend. And if you follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. So if you give us a shout out on one of our social media, whenever we post about like an episode, we will shout you out. And we actually had somebody that commented on our Predestination and said it was an incredible film. And that was Mr. Jane Man.
Yeah, that's them on Instagram.
And I would have to agree. I freaking love that movie.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for taking the time to comment on our post. So, next week, we'll be doing something Shelly and I had kind of talked about previously. We will be talking about the first Short Circuit movie.
Yay.
With Johnny Five. Speaking of, Succession, the guy who has the very thin neck.
Yes.
He is in this movie playing an Indian man.
That's great.
He has come out and said he wouldn't do it again today if he had the option, but at the time it wasn't considered as bad. But yeah, he's calling him Johnny Number 5. That's the voice he's doing.
I remember. I can't wait to watch it again.
Yeah, I remember it being very funny at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But we will talk to you guys then, and we will talk about Short Circuit next time.
Bye-bye.